Ever feel like talking to those AI assistants is, I don't know, a little less like a conversation and more like trying to do the tango with a robot?
Yeah, like two left feet.
Exactly. But get this, OpenAI just dropped this thing called the Real-Time API, and it might just change all that.
It really could. I mean, think about it. We've gone from these, kind of clunky text prompts
Yeah.
to something that feels a lot more like, actual back and forth. Like you're having a conversation with, well, almost a real person.
Yeah, and remember how it used to be you'd ask your voice assistant a question and it's like, crickets. Then finally you get an answer, but half the time it's like, did you even understand what I said?
Total miscommunication. It's like they finally figured out how to bottle up human thought speed and pour it into AI.
Right.
And the secret sauce here, GPT-4o, that's the engine driving this whole real-time API thing. But okay, enough with the tech jargon for a sec. Imagine just for a second what this means for you, like day to day.
I'm already imagining like customer service that doesn't make you want to pull your hair out. Or how about language learning that actually feels like you're, speaking the language?
Right, not just memorizing flashcards.
Exactly.
And get this, OpenAI isn't just theorizing here. They've actually shown off some pretty impressive real-world examples already.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Okay, so picture this. A fitness app, right? But not just any fitness app. This one's powered by this real-time API, and it's called Healthify. So you're getting coached by this AI. Let's say you need more personalized advice, like from an actual human trainer. Boom, this AI can seamlessly hand you off without missing a beat.
Whoa. So it's like having a workout buddy and a personal trainer rolled into one. That's
Exactly.
wild.
And then there's this language learning app, Speak. They're using this real-time API to turn those awkward practice sessions into something that feels like, you're chatting with a friend in another language.
That's amazing.
And here's the thing, it gets even more interesting because we haven't even talked about function calling yet.
Function calling. Okay, now you're just using sci-fi words. What even is that?
Okay, so basically it means this AI can actually do things based on what you're saying. It's not just talking, it's acting.
Okay, now that sounds a little too futuristic for me. Give me an example. How would that even work?
All right, let's say your flight gets delayed.
Yeah.
You're understandably frustrated, so you start venting to your AI assistant. But with this function calling stuff, it doesn't just offer you, those generic words of comfort. It could actually rebook your flight for you, file a claim with the airline, even order you dinner at the gate, all while you're still letting off steam.
Okay, now that's impressive. But I have to admit, it does make you wonder about the whole data privacy thing. I mean, if this AI is going to be that integrated into our lives, how much access will it have to our personal information?
That is a crucial question, and you're right to be thinking about that. And trust me, it's something OpenAI is acutely aware of. They've got this whole multi-layered approach to security, which we'll definitely dig into in a bit. But before we get there, we got to talk about the elephant in the room.
Let me guess. All this real-time magic probably doesn't come cheap, right?
You hit the nail on the head. Right now, it's based on this audio token system, similar to some of their other models, but yeah, it is pricier than using the text-based AI.
Fingers.
But here's the thing to remember. We're still in the early stages here. Think back to the early days of the internet, right?
Right.
Those who saw the potential early on, who were willing to invest, they were the ones who reaped the biggest rewards down the line. This technology, I think it has that same kind of potential.
Here's hoping those prices become a little more, accessible to us regular folks down the line. But in the meantime, let's switch gears for a sec and talk about something just as important as the cost: safety.
Right, because with all this potential comes a whole lot of responsibility, right?
Exactly. And OpenAI has been very upfront about the fact that this technology, powerful as it is, could be misused. We're talking about everything from your run-of-the-mill spam to, the spread of misinformation. And then there's the potential for, well, let's just say, less than ethical manipulation if it falls into the wrong hands.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just like spam your inbox here. We're talking about the potential for large-scale manipulation. Imagine AI sophisticated enough to sway elections or incite, real-world discord. That's the level of threat we're talking about.
Okay, that's a little unsettling. So what is OpenAI actually doing to make sure we avoid those whole, AI gone rogue scenarios?
Well, for starters, they're not just throwing this technology out there and hoping for the best. They've got a whole arsenal of safeguards in place. We're talking automated monitoring of how the API is being used, human review of anything that looks even remotely suspicious, and they've got some pretty strict usage policies for developers.
That's good to hear. Anything else?
Oh yeah, and then there's red teaming.
Red teaming, what's that?
So they basically have these ethical hackers, right? And their job is to try and find any weaknesses in the system, exploit them before someone with less than noble intentions can do the same.
Oh, that's actually really clever.
Right.
So it's like a preemptive strike against potential abuse.
Exactly.
That's reassuring, especially since it seems like this real-time API is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, what's next on OpenAI's roadmap? What are they cooking up over there?
Oh, they've got some seriously cool stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Think incorporating video into these real-time interactions, handling way more simultaneous users. I mean, we're talking about a whole new era of AI interaction here.
It's like we're building the spaceship right now, knowing that pretty soon we're going to be charting unknown galaxies with it.
Exactly. And who knows what we'll find out there.
It's like we're building the starship, knowing we'll be charting unknown galaxies soon. But before we get lost in the excitement of hyperspace travel, let's pause and consider what happens when AI becomes this conversational, like really conversational.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, are we going to start like relating to these AI entities differently? Because let's face it, we're hardwired for connection,
Yeah.
right? So when something, even if it's a machine, starts blurring those lines, starts feeling more human, what does that do to us? To our sense of self? Our understanding of what even is consciousness? It's a bit of a mind bender when you really think about it.
It is. And it's not just, some philosophical thought experiment either. There are very real world implications here. Take the job market, for example.
Exactly. I mean, as AI gets more sophisticated, as it learns to communicate like this and actually perform complex tasks, there are going to be certain roles, certain jobs that are inevitably going to be automated. That's just the reality.
So it's about adaptation, right? Like instead of being afraid of the robots taking over, maybe we should be thinking about the new industries, the new jobs that this level of AI interaction could create. I don't know about you, but it's both exciting and, to be honest, a little intimidating at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. What we're seeing here, it's not just an upgrade. It's a fundamental shift in how we relate to technology itself. I mean, for so long, it's been a tool, right? But now it's becoming more like a collaborator, almost, dare I say, a partner in a way.
And with any partnership, there are going to be some growing pains, right? I'm thinking about things like trust, about control, about what it even means to be human when we have technology that can mimic us so closely.
Those are the million-dollar questions, aren't they? And there are no easy answers. But that's exactly why we need to be having these conversations now. While this technology is still in its early stages, we need to be mindful, aware of the potential benefits, absolutely, but also the possible pitfalls, the unintended consequences.
Knowledge is power, right? The more we understand about how this technology works, the better equipped we are to navigate the changes it's going to bring.
100%. And that brings us back to OpenAI's real-time API, because this isn't just about some, cool new gadgets or fancy features. It's a window into the future of AI.
A future where AI isn't this separate thing, but something that's woven into the fabric of our lives. So if our listeners take away one thing from this deep dive, what would you want it to be?
Well, first and foremost, this real-time API, it's a game changer. It really is. It has the potential to completely revolutionize how we interact with technology, make it more intuitive, more natural, more human, really.
It's like we're finally bridging that gap, right, between human and machine communication.
Exactly. But here's the second thing, and it's just as important. We can't ignore the ethical side of things. We have to talk about data privacy, about the potential for misuse, about the impact this is all going to have on the workforce. These are conversations that we need to be having actively, thoughtfully, and honestly.
It's almost like we're standing at this fork in the road. And on one path, we've got all this incredible potential, AI that can connect us, educate us, even make our lives easier in ways we probably can't even imagine yet.
Right, exactly.
But then there's this other path. And it's a little unnerving, to be honest. Because what happens if, in all of this, in this pursuit of creating something that feels so human, we lose something ourselves?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, there's no easy answer. It's like we're trying to read the last page of the book before we've even finished the first chapter. But that's the thing about technology, isn't it? It just keeps moving forward.
It doesn't wait for us to catch up.
Exactly. And that's why conversations like this are so important. We have to be willing to ask the tough questions, to consider the ethical implications, even if it makes us a little uncomfortable. Because the future of AI, it's not something that's just going to happen to us. It's something we're all actively creating, whether we realize it or not.
And that's what we've tried to do today, right?
Yeah.
Take this incredibly complex, frankly, kind of mind-blowing topic and break it down, make it understandable, and hopefully even get people thinking about these questions in a different way.
It's been a fascinating conversation, that's for sure.
It has.
And I think if our listeners take away just one thing from all of this, from this whole deep dive, it's that the future of AI is still unwritten. And the choices we make today, the conversations we have, they matter. They really do.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, we'd love to hear from you, our listeners. How do you feel about this whole real-time AI thing? Are you excited, a little freaked out, maybe a bit of both? Head over to our website, find this episode, and let us know what you think, because your perspective is valuable. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep the conversation going.